How to politely tell a friend you have low energy to hear them ramble for hours.
Oh,
Me.
the two of us, when she got here, we're both like, bah, 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 bah.
All my friend does is yap, 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 yap.
Yeah.
I'm like, who wrote this about me?
Looking back, like for me, I'm like, wow, that was the best thing I ever could have done.
By the way, why the hell did you say hi to me? Because
Right.
we were not friends.
That's so rude. You said that, and now I'm picturing you like dissecting a frog and being like, mommy.
We only have one camera for this episode. So if you like quick camera cuts, just please don't judge us. Please stay with us and keep watching. Oh my God. I feel like we're like Drew Barrymore right now. Like we need to have like our hands on each other.
Yeah, how she does that. That's
How do you feel about Drew Barrymore doing that actually? Is it weird or is it like cute?
I kind of feel like it's a little weird.
I
Like it just
know.
sometimes where she'll literally be like, yeah,
I know.
yeah. Like, and I'm like, okay, Drew,
I can't.
personal
Wait,
space.
I feel like why does it feel like she's trying to do it? Like,
It does feel like that sometimes.
Right?
But also on the other hand, like I feel like she's just like a genuine person.
okay,
Hopefully, right?
hopefully.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about her, honestly, but Santa Clarita Diet, great show. Have you seen it?
No.
It's on Netflix. It definitely got canceled. It's just like the weirdest show to ever exist. It's about Drew plays the mom. She's married to a guy and they have a teenage daughter. She turns into a vampire. Like first episode, or a zombie, like she's undead. They don't call her like vampire or like zombie, but she's like undead. And it's a comedy. It's so funny. Like the first season is hilarious. Like basically she has like an insatiable appetite and she just eats like raw meat, but she's a realtor. So they're trying to like play it cool because their neighbor is a cop, and the neighbors are so funny. Like the mom of the neighbor is like this like Karen mom kind of character, but she's nice. And then her husband dies. She's like, yeah, whatever. Because Drew Barrymore like murders her husband and eats him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she's like, like doesn't care. But anyway, it's so funny. And I think it had 4 seasons, and then it just got like every episode gets more and more ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. You would think
I mean,
it's
it
like,
sounds like a ridiculous show.
yeah,
Kind of.
it's so funny though. And I don't get why more people haven't watched it. I have never met anyone that has said they watched it, even though every time I open Netflix, it's like at the top.
Right.
And it's pushing it on me. And I've watched the whole thing multiple times.
You sound like a fan.
I am.
Yeah, well,
it was definitely my favorite show for a while.
I never heard of it.
Please watch it.
Okay.
I won't be offended at all if you're like, this is so stupid.
I
though.
have Netflix right now, so I will watch it.
Okay. It's
Because I want
really
to watch
easy
the
to
Miley
watch.
Cyrus interview with David Letterman.
Wait,
I think it's with David Letterman. It's coming out soon.
I didn't even know
next
she was
week.
doing like similar to Kim K's.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know she was doing one.
And for Buying Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Interesting.
You know that show on there, Buying Beverly Hills?
No.
Yeah, I got it. It's like selling Sunset.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Wow. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, your favorite podcast, Stop the Internet Podcast. I'm Kelly.
I'm Jimmy.
We're in Jimmy's house today, so that's why you can see behind us.
My gorgeous fridge.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I love it. I feel like it adds dimension, you know?
The lighting's great.
Yes, the lighting is so good. It's actually good. We just yapped for quite a while before getting started.
We always do that.
I know. Actually,
we got to just start hitting record.
we should, but then we
Talk our shit.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. We did not.
maybe we should. I feel like some podcasts do that where they have like this one podcast that's YouTubers, they have an unwind. So they do their podcast and then they have a Patreon where like for 20 minutes they just kind of like keep talking. But I
Right.
guess it's a little less structured or something. I don't know. Should we? We should just turn the mics on and then be like, well, how was your day?
Yeah. It's Friday. Well,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know if we could say that.
It's okay. Yeah.
We're filming this on a
I
Friday.
know, we're in a good mood.
We got our drinks.
Oh yeah, thank you so much to our sponsor, Vizzy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Vizzy, summertime in Philadelphia.
Oh my god, this is so good.
Pretty good, right?
Wow.
Refreshing.
They're paying us a lot of money to have these on our podcast today. So use our code. I don't know what it is yet, but it might be in the bio. It actually is really good.
Yeah.
I've never had this.
I like them a lot.
Cool. Slay. I'm into it. Okay. I had an intro question that I was thinking about earlier, but it might be boring, but also it might not. So if you're listening, please don't click off yet. I remembered that when I was younger, I was obsessed with vacuums. and I really wanted like an amazing vacuum. And I was wondering if that's normal, or if there is anything that you were obsessed with as a child that you still care about to this day.
The Titanic.
Did you listen to the last episode with me and Rebecca? I actually just came out yesterday.
No, I didn't listen.
We talked about this.
Did you really?
Yes,
Shut up.
This is amazing, because one of the things Rebecca said on the episode was like, I was like, oh, I am obsessed with Titanic, and she's like, oh, I was too, like at this time in my life. And she's like, everyone goes through that.
Literally.
And an event.
Yeah, the Titanic is like a whole phase.
Are you
I'm still in it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to listen to the episode from yesterday, but I'm also down to discuss it again, because
No,
I
we
would
can't.
always
We
love-
can't.
No, I want to talk about it.
We'll lose people. Now, I will say that I did go, I literally planned a whole entire trip to New York City because they had like a Titanic exhibit where they had things from the actual Titanic at the exhibit. And I was like, oh my God. And then I got there and a lot of the things were like clones. And I was like, the fuck? Unless your ass went down there with David Cameron and brought it back up and you didn't implode, then I don't want to see it. I don't care about the fact that the company had another luxury ship 2 years later with the same closet doors. If it ain't the closet door that fucking Rose sat her ass on and let Jack die in that water, then I don't fucking want to see it.
No, that's so real.
So I was a little disappointed by the Titanic exhibit in New York City, but I love the Titanic.
I went to the Titanic exhibit in Las Vegas.
Oh,
and
that
they
one I heard was
also
really good,
yeah,
though.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it
that
was
one's better.
So cool. And they had an iceberg there because the one room, I guess they try to make it feel, well, actually, this was like 2 rooms. They had an iceberg in one of the rooms, and then you walk into this other section and they're like, this is how cold it was that night. I was like, there's no way. It is like warm in here. Like it was probably
really?
way colder on the night of, the Titanic. But wait, it's so funny because you said David Cameron, but I think it's James Cameron.
I think it is.
We put on the last episode, I said Tyler Cameron.
One of the Camerons.
Somebody
One of those
with
Cameron
a
boys.
generic man name,
Literally.
last name Cameron.
Oh my God, you're so right.
No, because Rebecca was like, we were talking about Avatar, and she was like, oh yeah, that was also directed by the same person. And I was like, oh my God, yes, Tyler Cameron. I was like, no, you're an idiot.
I didn't know
Wow. Okay, I'm so glad this is... Okay, wait, what's your favorite scene?
Oh, I was going to ask you about the vacuum. My favorite scene in the Titanic. Oh, the naked portrait. I mean, God, as a kid,
Slay.
I'm like, are those boobs? No, I'm kidding. As an adult, no, my parents wouldn't let me watch that version.
Wait, really?
Obviously.
I just watched it in the basement on the
No,
VHS.
same, yeah. The double-decker VHS.
Yes.
Because it couldn't be on one.
Yeah. Wait, it's so real.
No, I think there's something to be said, and I think the reason why that movie is so amazing, and I mean, I don't think anyone would be as much of a Titanic kid without that movie. That movie has cemented it into like the history of, the world and like also pop culture.
That's so true. Because there was probably, sorry to cut you off, but there was probably so many terrible things that happened like that, but they were just another page in the history book. But because of the movie, it made it so much more real for us.
So much real.
And just because the movie isn't like I mean, obviously the love story is more like Hollywood vibes, but like the story as a whole is very like historical fiction.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that scene where like it's literally sinking and they're playing the music and it's just like it's like melancholy in like 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like just how that is, because death could be beautiful, and it was a beautiful ship and then it was going down, but like there was a sense of peace almost with that scene, I feel.
Wow.
Where they were trying to maintain peace, you know what I mean? I'm a teacher, basically. I maintain that fucking peace every day of my life. It's like everything's burning and I'm like, oh,
you're just playing the violin.
Yeah,
the ship is
I'm
sinking.
playing the freaking violin every day. So
wow. Okay, I've never thought about it like that. That's true though.
Yeah.
I think the scenes where she is running, or both of them are like running through the freezing cold water, and I made a TikTok about it. It just hits so hard. Like there's no way that they would film a movie like that this year. It would all be CGI. It would be like warm water. Like no, she was shivering. She got hypothermia on set, I think. But oh my God, so
do you mean like when like down the hallways and everything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, like the metal hallways.
That was going to be my second like favorite, because I mean that's like cinema.
Yeah.
And amazing that they produced it that way when they did. You know what I mean?
You know, she was 19.
Wow. That's
19
crazy.
years old. What?
Iconic for that
She
role.
was so mature and talented and just everything. Like Kate Winslet. Oh my God.
And then Celine Dion, like My Heart Will Go On, like please.
the scene where Rose is going down in the lifeboat looking back up and Jack is up there and then her fiance is also there, but he's like a side piece, and then the flare lights are going off behind Jack and it looks like fireworks and stop. Also, I do need to say, everyone says like, okay, he could have fit on the door, like he could have fit, she could have saved him, she was selfish, blah blah blah. Okay, he could have never lived, because if Jack lived in Titanic, nobody would feel sad about Titanic. Like, we feel the loss of Jack the way that people felt the loss of their loved ones on Titanic. There was nothing that she could have done for Jack, because there was nothing that the loved ones, the families, could have done for their loved ones that were on the ship. So like, that is why he had to die, to like put it into perspective that the people we love, these amazing people that you fall in love with and they're the best person that you've ever met, like they died that day. Like, isn't that insane to think about?
And that's how you create that personal connection in film. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
Art. Literally the best movie ever made, possibly.
So yeah.
Wow.
That's hilarious that you guys just talked about it.
I know. And I'm like, I could literally still talk more. Like we could have a whole podcast. Like we could have a Titanic themed podcast. Yeah. And just talk about it every day for a year or every week for a year.
Instead of stop the internet, stop the icebergs. This week on the Titanic pod.
So true.
Horrible.
Wait, the Las Vegas exhibit, I think it was like $35, which was fair. And then there was the staircase scene. Like, you were allowed to bring your phone and like take pictures and whatever, but there was one room where you weren't allowed to take your own photos, and it was the staircase room where they reconstructed the staircase and they had a photographer there, and you could pay to stand on the stairs and have them take your photo.
Oh,
probably another $30.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't need that. Like, I would rather just see it and keep moving. Like, I don't need a picture of me in front of it. But I thought that was so funny. Like, it's just this like weird, I don't know.
That is a little funny.
Just, like, standing on the stairs, like, why do we need it? I don't need to see myself there.
Right.
yeah. Like, just like smiling there,
thumbs up,
like, pretending to be Jack and Rose. Like, that's like a little weird to me. But also, if anyone has ever done that, I support you. So I don't know. I didn't need to stand there.
If we had all the money in the world, maybe we would.
You think though?
I don't know.
Like, you would want to pose. I would never post it. Like, if anything, I would just have it for I would be like embarrassed to post it. Yeah,
I think I would be too. But you'd be ratting yourself out as a Titanic kid.
Yeah, as if I'm not right now though. Yeah. Like, I say it loud and proud, I think.
But you're also more of a vacuum kid.
Yeah.
So what about it?
I don't know. I just was like, vacuums are so cool. And now, like, what? See, this is like, Titanic is so entertaining and vacuums are so boring. But like, isn't the worst feeling when you're vacuuming and just nothing's picking up? And you're like, cool, this is a waste of everyone's time and money. And like, vacuums are one thing that I think I might spend like $500 on the next time I need one.
Wow.
Maybe not 500.
Like, I have brown carpet in here, so like you could see everything. But if you see my friend Roomba over there, we have a Roomba. And now the Roomba's amazing, but there are times where it won't be picking things up. Yeah. And then you have to get under it and like really get in there with the scissors and cut all the hair out.
I just did that.
Oh, it was wild. It was insane. The pile of hair that I had, you know what I mean? But I mean, yeah, like Dyson, Shark, everyone loves, you know. Growing up, Oreck was a big vacuum. My mom had an Oreck. We loved the Oreck. That's what we're talking about. We still have it. We have an Oreck here.
Wait,
we have an Oreck and a Shark. Yeah.
Oh.
We have an Oreck, a Shark, and Roomba. So maybe we're vacuum people here too.
Vacuums are low key like a luxury of the world. Like, having a vacuum that actually works, like having a Roomba changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know how like there's things that you notice as you get older, and as a kid you're like, why do you care about that? A really prime example is like when your parents tell you to clean up around the house before people come over, and you're like, why do they care? Like, I don't care if my friend sees my shirt or my cup. Like, I get it to an extent, but like now I want my house to be clean, like especially if people are coming over, but like all the time. And the Roomba, like that is something that I notice like every year. I notice dirt more and more, and like crumbs on the ground more and more. Getting a Roomba, I'm like, this is crazy. I also got a refurbished one because I didn't know if it was going to work. Specifically, I wanted one down the shore because the sand on the floor is absurd, and I wanted to see if it would even pick up sand. So I didn't want to spend like $700 on it and then have it be like, cool, it doesn't even work. But it works. And I think the refurbished one was like in the 300s, and I got the one that has the bag that it empties into on it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks is it's a little bit big. big, so you kind of have to have like a place for it. Like we have ours next to a couch in a corner, so it makes sense. But in my parents' house at home, there's not like a perfect place for it. You know, like you can see it in like the dining room.
I know ours is like kind of a way.
Yeah, that's underneath it.
Not like too bad. But I do feel that way too, because you want it accessible so that you could just hit the button.
Right.
And mine, like you could connect it to an app. Like you could, but mine, I could never get it connected to the app.
Oh, so you have to go over and like.
So I have to go over and click the button.
Oh.
But like I'll just click it before I go to work, and then I come home and it docks itself back, and then it's good, you know. So it's not like the end of the world, but like I would put it under like a chair or something even, and then I could just hit the button and it does it. You know, that would be great.
Yeah. But under a couch would be ideal too.
Yeah.
Because then you wouldn't see it at all. Yeah. Ours you can't put under a couch because of like the base thing. The hair thing is crazy though, because there was so much on it, but like think about the fact that that is what is on your floor, and like you don't even see it a lot of the time, like especially hair, like you don't see it until it's gone, or like until it's in your vacuum. Ew, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we should be sponsored by Roomba. I would suggest, like, if you can afford a Roomba, get one. Like, it's so nice.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I lucked out. My sister was in this phase of like being in these. Yeah, right. She was in her vacuum phase. She was in this phase of this Facebook group, especially during COVID, where people were doing like spin the wheel. Like you could buy $5 chances to spin a wheel, and they'd sell like 25 chances or whatever for whatever amount of money that is, and then you would have a chance at winning something. And she just was like always entering in them, and she won like 2 Roombas.
Wait, what did the money go? Like, could I just do this and like keep the money, but then
I don't know,
buy a Roomba?
I don't know what they did.
Okay.
I really don't know if they like donated the proceeds or if they had it like a business. I don't know, but she ended up winning 2. So she had one for her house, and then she gave my dad the other one. But at the time, like my sister's kids were really young, and they were all obsessed with going over and like hitting the button on the Roomba. And my dad was like, get it the fuck out of my house. Like, I do not want this Roomba anymore. And he didn't even like it anyways. Like, he never went in and put it on by himself. He always would just pull out the vacuum. So then when I moved, I was like, the Roomba's mine. Like, I'm taking the Roomba. If you don't want the Roomba and it's not getting used, I'm taking it. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, sure, take it. And I'm like, wow.
Slay.
So my Roomba I didn't pay for, but I do think it's worth every penny. Yeah. And now we'll see, because like we do have a regular vacuum, but I'm moving out and it's not my vacuum. So who knows? Maybe I'll have to invest in a real vacuum too. Yeah,
you do kind of need it, because the Roomba is amazing for like day to day, but if you spill something, you're not gonna like put the Roomba on, you know? Like if you spilled like sprinkles, I wouldn't choose the Roomba. I would choose an actual vacuum. You need both. Vacuums, luxuries.
You know what I would love? Remember those old school ones that like don't even power on, and you just like kind of move them back and forth, and they pick up everything? They're like amazing. I do
remember those. Yeah.
That's maybe what I'll invest in if I have to get one.
That's a good idea.
Because like I'm definitely not going to buy like a high-end vacuum if I have a Roomba.
But you could get a high-end vacuum that you know is long lasting, and then you could have it for like 15 years. Right.
I know. Well, you know, I have PTSD with vacuums, because I remember growing up, like we weren't like poor, but we didn't have a lot, and we had a dog, and the dog that shed. And the one year my mom went through like 4 vacuums in 1 year because of how much she would vacuum, and like the dog hair would just ruin the vacuums. Oh. So, and then we got the Auric, and I remember when we got the Auric, it was like so much money, but my mom was like, it's an investment, like it'll last forever. And it did. It lasted forever. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know how much an Auric is, but my family also had one, and my parents use the same one, an Auric, from when I was a child.
Now everyone swears by like the Dyson, right? That's like the
Dyson's
big one.
Like luxury, but like also there are definitely things where the name brand is not better, and it's just like you're paying for the brand. Dyson, I actually think, is like Apple. Like you're paying for the product. Like, well, is Apple better? In my opinion, it is. Like some people don't think Apple's better, but like Dyson actually is, like they have engineers working for them to like try to make the products better. I don't know if they're long lasting, but they definitely are better than like, I don't know. Actually, what am I saying? I've never even had a Dyson. I'm just like guessing. Dyson, please sponsor me.
Whatever you're doing to market Dyson, you got her hooked. Like keep it up.
I like watch their videos and I'm like, wow, like, oh, maybe one day.
Yeah, no, literally. And I think too, the big thing with that is just that you don't have to carry like a cord around, right? Because it's like cordless and everything like that. So people love it for that.
Are all of them? Probably now.
Most of them, I think. Yeah. But I don't know. I got my sister Dyson for her engagement, birthday, Christmas present.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, that's everything.
Yeah,
You're not getting anything else for
Was it expensive?
this whole year. Yeah.
How much
Oh,
was
yeah.
it? Do you
I
remember?
don't even remember what I paid for it at the time. I think it was like $400 or something.
Okay.
But I was like, that's everything.
Yeah.
And your fiance, that's
I'm
everything
sure
y'all are
she
getting.
loves it though. Like,
She does. Yeah. She said she uses it all the time. So.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Best gift, Dyson. I'll put it on my registry when I ever, hit a life stage where I have a registry.
Yeah. I'm about to do one for my 30th. No, I'm kidding.
registry,
I'm kidding.
yes.
I know someone that did that though.
That's so funny.
I think it's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy, but
It would be nice. Like for someone like me, I'm single. I have no prospects for marriage.
yeah.
I'm not buying a house anytime soon. I'm going to all these weddings. Like, yeah, go ahead. Buy something off my registry.
No, see, I do
No.
think it's crazy if I would think it's crazy if I don't like the person. But if you did it, I'd be
Right.
like, slay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same.
But I really think that's a good idea because, yeah, why? Like, when you get married, you're just allowed to be like, yeah, give me all these things I want. But just because you haven't found your life partner yet, you just don't get to do that. Like, no, you should get to do it. Like, you should make a list of things you want.
Yeah.
Do it. I'll buy you something on it.
No, that's all right.
Vizzy will buy you something on it.
I got all I need.
True.
My friends and good family.
So sweet.
And a busy.
And a Vizzy.
Use our code. All right. What are we chatting about today?
Wait, can I have one more thought?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. About what your sister did with the raffles. Okay, low-key, that's such a good business model because we, like you and I, like we could buy a Roomba or something that's like a luxury item and then organize a raffle where we sell tickets for $5. And like a lot of people would probably take that chance, like $5 for the chance of getting a Roomba. Like that's pretty good, I guess, compared to how many people enter. But we just keep all the money. Like as long as we break even, like, you know
No,
what I
yeah, you
mean?
definitely could probably make a lot of money off it. And she like won like insane, like her whole house, because she ended up buying a house and stuff like that, like her patio set, all the like the nice brown wicker furniture, she won that on there. She won like a gas fireplace
This is crazy.
thing on there. She won what is that big grill that you could make like hibachi
Oh
on?
yeah, Blackstone.
A Blackstone. She won a Blackstone on there. She won so many things. A swing,
I'm so confused.
a patio furniture swing. She won on there.
How did she win so many?
She won. I don't know. She has good luck in
Okay.
general. She does, but she won so much stuff off of that thing.
That's insane.
I'm trying to think. Oh, my Apple Watch. She won this on there. And I remember I called her and I was like so upset because I dropped my Apple Watch, like literally it was at my old apartment, a foot, like 1 foot onto the ground and it shattered. And I like,
my
I've
God.
dropped it a million other times, like that watch. And she was like, oh, I just won one and I have one and I don't even wear it. Like, here, just take this. And I was like, wow,
Crazy.
that's so generous because that's like $400 for an Apple
Yeah.
Watch. You know what I mean? So yeah, she won a lot of stuff on it.
I need to know like the business model of these raffles. Like, is it a charity thing or is it just somebody being like,
I wonder
yeah,
if she
enough
still
people
does it.
like put, yeah, oh my God.
I'll ask her.
Yeah.
And we can look into it.
And then we can do a raffle. We should just start a business like doing raffles. But I do think that the lore of many raffles is that it's for charity. Because then people are like, well, if I don't win, at least the $5 is going to. Like people see it more as like, I'm just giving away $5 and there's a very, very slim chance that I'll actually win the Roomba. But like your sister winning that much stuff is shocking.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I know. I'll raffle off my feet pics.
We should. And then we should have like a top, well, that would be like an auction, but like a buy it now price. And it's like $1,000.
1,000.
10,000.
Yeah, more like it.
Okay. Yes. Our topic for today, we're talking about communication again, because we slayed last time and people have been begging us for more. So we're talking about sticky situations and what to say in them.
We're doing it.
Should we just jump right in?
Let's get sticky.
Oh, I love that. Should that be our tagline? Let's get sticky.
What did you say when you were here? And you're like, are you ready for me? And you're like, wait, why did that?
I parked my car and I was getting my stuff out of it. And Jimmy, I had just seen that he had texted me, but like 30 minutes earlier. And you were like, oh, you might beat me home. And then I was like, oh, I hope he's like, you know, in and settled. And so I texted him. I typed the message, are you ready for me? And then in my mind, I'm like, that sounds weird. But then I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to send it. And then immediately I was like, ew, wait, that sounds like so cringy. Like that sounds like what someone would say if they were like trying to flirt. It's like wanna be kinky. Like, are you ready for me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Waiting in the lingerie.
Like, I just like picture people from my past. They would be saying that. Are you ready for me? Stop.
Yeah.
Gross.
So we're
Ick.
going to get sticky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a icky?
Sticky. Okay, what to start with? Let's see. How do I politely tell someone they aren't invited to something? I know the title makes me sound like a bad person, but hear me out. Wait, no, you don't. That doesn't make you sound like a bad person.
No.
I think people think too far into things. Like, I do it all the time too, but just because you don't invite someone to something or include everyone you've ever known and called a friend in like every activity, like that doesn't mean you're a bad person. Like, you're allowed to have certain people for certain things. Like, it's okay.
I agree.
And like, if people get offended by that, that's just life. Like, there's definitely been things that I haven't been invited to, but like, you can't just dwell on that, you know? Like, not everything is for you and not everything is for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that fear that makes them sound like a bad person are people pleasers, which like I can relate to, you know what I mean? Like, I do feel bad not inviting everyone to everything, but like you can't invite everyone to everything. So just that's life.
Yeah, exactly. And if like you don't want to, like, something I'm really, really trying to work on in my life is not inviting people places if the reason for me inviting them is, well, I would feel bad if I didn't. Like, no, that's not a good reason that's not a good reason to invite someone to something.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've been trying to think about it from the other side. Like, if I found out that I was invited to something because the person felt guilty and they were like, well, she might be mad, or like, I'm going to look bad if I don't invite her. I don't need to be going to those things. And like, obviously I would never know that. And like, if I'm not invited to something, it's like I could guess that would be the reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to actually know that. But if I were to find out that I was invited to something because someone felt bad, I think that would feel just as bad as not being invited. You know?
Yeah, and I would just rather not be invited.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's like easy to sit here and be like, I'd rather just not be invited, because not getting invited to something could be hurtful. But yeah, it would just be so much, well, maybe not so much worse. It would be equally as bad to know that you're a guilt invite.
Yeah, like if I'm not actually,
be worse.
Yeah, no, if I'm not actually wanted there, then why would I want to be there myself? You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I agree.
And I also think that, I feel like I've said this before, but like, just because you don't want to invite someone to something, like, doesn't mean they're a bad person or they're annoying, or like, I don't know. Like, I just saw this clip of another podcast where the person was like, sometimes you just realize that people that you were friends with, like, they're just not good people and you're not going to be friends with them. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely true. But there's sometimes that you're friends with people and you just realize that they are a great person and you still don't want to be friends with them. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's even harder, I think. But I have experienced that like a lot in life. Yeah. And I used to feel bad about that, but now I'm like, I don't know. Like, if someone felt that way about me, you don't need to pretend to like me. Like, that's weirder. Like, that's actually more wrong to like pretend, like, keep messaging this person, keep inviting them, like, keep talking to them when you actually don't want to. Like, I have no desire to do that. Like, that is the worst thing to do, I think.
And I think that you have friends that you invite to do certain things and not other things.
Totally.
Like, you love to like go surfing and stuff like that, and skiing and like everything like that. You've gone on ski trips and stuff like that. I think that you have invited me and I'm like, no. But like, even like, for example, I would never be offended if all of you went on a ski trip and I never got an invite, because it's like, that's not something that I would ever want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do that. And even too with your like shore house and stuff like that, like, there's only so much space. So eventually you do have to pick and choose who's coming on things. Like, you would love to have everyone all the time, but you just can't in certain things and situations. And people have to just realize that, you know what I mean? It's just part of life.
I know. Yeah, that's so true. Like, I do feel like I am like a sensitive person and I do kind of get offended by things, but I'm trying to not. Like, I am trying to see it from both sides, because I'm like, well, I made this decision in this type of situation and they're just making the same type of decision in that situation. Like, you're just on like the losing side, you know? Or I don't know. I don't think it happens to me that much, because I feel like my friend group my group of friends is more like aligning, but that's because I'm making these like hard decisions. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I am trying to not invite people that I just don't actually want them to be there. And I just feel guilty. Like, I've kind of stopped doing that. So now I feel like those weird situations happen to me less as well. Like, I don't know. I just think that the more like positive decisions you make for yourself, like in your life, even if it's hard at first, like it's just going to get easier and easier because these like weird connections are going to just like keep being more and more fleeting, and then like they just fizzle out and you don't have to worry about it at all anymore. And you're like, wow, you get to the point where you're like, I don't have anyone in my life like that. And that's such a good feeling, but you do have to go through the hard like realization of like, oh, I actually don't want to be that person's friend even though they're a great person. Yeah
And sometimes things just work out. Like I feel like for you and like Aaron, for example, like your friends somehow just blend together so perfectly. Like when we all go down the shore, for example, even, and like you have your friends there, and then Aaron invites a couple of us down as well, which like I consider us friends now too. But we blend together so well, like with Kelee and like everyone else, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like everyone gets along so well, and we're not all the same, but like we're able to vibe, you know what I mean? So that makes it a lot easier for situations like that, but it's not always like that.
No, I know.
And that's okay too.
I do sometimes feel bad. Like this really doesn't happen to me much anymore at all, actually, but it has happened to me in my life where you invite this person that maybe like isn't like a different friend group, and like people are merging and stuff, and then you feel bad because you're like, wait, are they like fitting in? Are they clicking? Like, do I have to like give that person like more energy? And like I feel bad about that. So I'm like, I don't know. That hasn't happened in so long. No. So now I'm glad that like my friends, it is happening where they like merge more easily, and like this like, feels right, you know?
Yeah, because it is harder. Yeah. Like even like I was at a wedding last weekend and I was seeing someone for a little bit. I already said it, but guys, I'm single again. Okay. Like I know we were talking about like, when do we make it official a couple months ago? It's officially single. It was fine. Very amicable breakup, everything. We're good. But for example, like the wedding last weekend, I had a +1. I was in the wedding and everything like that. I was feeling, you know, that certain type of way about who I was seeing. And I was like, do I want to bring them to the wedding with me? And then feel almost like I have to like entertain them and like check in on them and stuff like that. And I feel like it could be the same thing with a friend across any social situation. And I was like, ultimately like, no. And I was still on the fence about continuing to see this person or not when I had a RSVP, whether or not my guest was coming. And like, again, ultimately I was just like, no, I'm not going to bring someone because I have that fear and I don't want to do that. I just want to enjoy the day. It's my best friend's wedding. Like I'm in the wedding. She's been my best friend for so many years and I don't want to have to do that. You know what I mean? And again, it's like, I was like, is that making me a bad person? And I talked to a couple people and they were like, well, no, like it's your best friend's wedding. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to have to worry about anyone but yourself. Like, I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that's being considerate of other people. You know what I mean? That you don't want to do that to them. So it's just a way of life.
Yeah, definitely.
Part of life.
And like it is hard to make that decision, but I do think that like it does get easier, and you don't want to make the decision to be nice, but then have to give up your experience or part of your experience in order to tend to the person that you're like, oh, well, I invited them to be nice. And now I have to like sacrifice talking to my other friends that I can check in with you and make sure that you're okay, you know? Yeah, I'm like thankful that like, I don't know, I don't think I have anyone else like that currently in my life.
Right.
That I'm like making hard decisions about. I'm like, do I invite them? Like, no, my friends are merging, and I'm like, I'm like so lucky.
Yeah, it just sucks though, like that, because like even we're kind of doing what the OP is doing in terms of like having to explain yourself sometimes with like, and it's just like, I'm sorry, like I didn't invite you because like I was doing this with these people and like that's something that I wanted to do with them, and like that should really be it. You know what I mean? Like it does suck, like you don't want to ever intentionally leave someone out, but there's just some things that you're gonna do with other people, and like that's okay. Like I went and got ice cream with a friend last night and I didn't invite all my other friends. Me and my one friend just went last night and then we stopped for a drink on the way home and we didn't tell anyone else, and like that's okay too, you know what I mean? Because like we never get to spend time together like one-on-one, and like we're able to do that. So, like there's just certain things that you do without other people and you shouldn't have to explain why you're doing it.
That is so true. Yeah, like we're sitting here literally giving a reason for like everything we've ever done, but like the reason should be that simple. It's just like that's just what happened that day. Like it ain't that deep, truly.
And if your friend, I feel like if your friend comes to you about something like that and they're like, I was really upset that you left me out with this and stuff like that, as a friend, I think that you could like relate to that and then just be like, oh well, why don't we do this instead together? And like it doesn't have to be that deep.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. No, that's so true. And I do think that I would feel more offended. Like I had those feelings of like, well, why wasn't I invited? Like when I was in friendships where I felt like insecure, or like where I always was like trying to like prove myself, I guess. But now I feel like I've attained friendships where I don't feel that way like at all. And if I see other friends hanging out if I feel any type of jealousy, it's not because I'm like, well, why wasn't I invited? It's more like, oh, damn, like I love them so much. Like I wish I could even spend more time with them. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a, why the hell did they not invite me? It's literally just like a, if I could do that every single day with all my friends, I would kind of feeling. And it's such a better feeling because you might still feel this like pang of sadness, but it's not a pang of like, how could they? It's more just like, well, I can't wait to do that with them too. Like, I don't know.
You're not feeling resentful.
Exactly.
Yeah, like there's no resent towards them for it. It's just like, wow, like I wish I could have been there because it looks so fun.
Exactly.
And I would love to do that too.
Yeah, like I remember, I don't even know, probably last summer, I saw like you, Kelee, Rebecca, you guys got ice cream together. And I'm like, damn, if I lived in their neighborhood, like I could have gone to that too. But it's not like a, fuck them. Like, invite me next time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's like just a more like, I don't know. Because I do want to be real. Like I do have those feelings sometimes, but it's like, it's not. Yeah, resentful is like the best word for it. It's not resentful. It's almost just like a, I wish I could do everything all the time with everyone type of feeling, but you just know that's not how life works.
Right.
And you're just excited for like your like chance of doing that, I guess.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think everyone deals with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like even like you and Rebecca and Aaron will do stuff because Rebecca will stop on the way home from like her family's house and stuff like that. And I feel the same way. I'm like, oh my God, like you guys went for dinner at that one place and then we were talking about it. I forget where it was. And I was like, oh my God, that sounded so good and like so fun. But like even just the distance sometimes.
Just like wouldn't make
like
sense.
I get dinner with Rebecca all the time just because we're both in the city and like it's easy.
Yeah.
You know?
And like I do feel like I see, this is the weird thing about the word jealousy, because I think that jealousy has like a really negative connotation, and it sounds like if I said, oh, I'm so jealous of that, it comes off as like, well, I don't want you to have that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't it come off wrong? Like, jealousy to me is more like, well, yeah, they should definitely have that too. But like, I wish I could also have that. You know, like I wish I could also have more friends that live like in this area so that I had better access to them. Or like, I wish this friend lived here. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? Right. So I definitely have like those pangs of like, damn, like I wish I could just like go to dinner with this person on a Wednesday and it wasn't this whole ordeal. But like also, it's just realistic. Like, it's just life, you know? Like, people have friends that live all over the place. Like, you're not necessarily gonna be able to see every single person every single day. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. This is my whole tangent.
No, I know, but I think everyone feels that way. Yeah. You're not alone in feeling that. 100%. Yeah, exactly. I feel that too. I think everyone would be denying it if they said that they didn't have those thoughts. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I do feel like sometimes I maybe come off as like, you should never have a negative feeling about anything ever because like, it's just not that deep. But like, no, we do have negative feelings, but it's more like, where are they coming from? I guess is the most important thing, you know? Yeah. And that it's not like you're having those feelings sometimes, but that's not at like the front of your mind all the time. Right. Where it's like running and ruining other things or ruining relationships that you have with those people because of those feelings that you're having. You know what I mean? So true. Like maybe I have a ping of like, damn, it would be so fun to do that together. But then like, it doesn't like fester in me. And like the next day I don't wake up being like, well, why didn't they invite me? Or like, where was I? Like, you know what I mean? Like Kelee opens the door, gets like a glass of milk, ice cream. Rebecca and Jimmy went for ice cream 3 weeks ago. Yeah, no, you know what I mean? But like I do. And I mean, there are certain times where you get in like a rut, at least I do, where like I will be in a rut mentally and I'm like, you know, it's on my mind. But I think too, as you build really good friendships and relationships with the people, then that's where you could reach out to them and be like, hey, I saw that you went for ice cream with Rebecca the other night. Like we should totally get together again. Like seeing your post made me really miss you guys. Yeah. And that's what we would do. And that's what we do. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like once you're confident in your friendships, as you had said, then a lot of the resentment goes away. Yeah. Because you're like, I feel comfortable saying this because it's how I feel. And like, I know that we all want to spend time with each other. It's just that we're not all together all the time. Yeah. So like, let's plan something. And then that's when we do usually, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's so healthy, is getting to a place where you're like, you can see your friends are hanging out without you and be like, okay, yes, there's a reason for that. And then also feeling comfortable enough to be like, this post reminded me of like how much I want to do this with you. Cause that's like, even that can be vulnerable and being like, damn, and also you can tell your friends sometimes too, be like, oh my God, I'm so sad that like I haven't gotten dinner with you, or like, I don't know, because it could be weird. Like if I were to message you and be like, I'm so sad I wasn't there getting ice cream with you, like that might come off a little weird because you're like, okay, well, you don't have to get ice cream with me every single time I get ice cream. But
also being vulnerable, or like feeling comfortable enough to be vulnerable and saying like, damn, I wish I could do this stuff more. Like, is there a way that I could be included more? Like, not every time, but just sometimes, you know?
Yeah, no, it does take a vulnerable piece. And I think too, like we talk about social media a lot, obviously on here, but it like exacerbates everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like what we're posting on social media is like the fun stuff in our lives anyways.
Absolutely.
So like I might go for ice cream with Rebecca like one night and then like not do anything for the other 7 nights. You know what I mean? Of that week. But that's like the one thing that's posted on social media. I'm not showing you me festering in bed, being horizontal every night of the week otherwise. You know what I mean? So, but it does, like that's like the facade that we all post or like put up online, and it's hard, but it's also like kind of what we all do. And like I do enjoy posting things like that, like fun things that I am doing. I think everyone does, you know what I mean? But it makes that much harder. And I also think friendship is work. Like friendships are work. Having friendships and really are just another relationship in your life, and it takes work. You know what I mean? I'm meeting a friend for dinner tonight because I was like, hey, we haven't like hung out, just you and I, in like a long time. Like, why don't we do something Friday night? Because like he's having a party tomorrow night. So it's like, oh, let's get dinner, like something. You know what I mean? So, but again, it takes you reaching out and you know what I mean? So
no, it's so true too with the highlight reel of social media, and like everyone knows this, like it's not a groundbreaking thing, but I do think people need to be reminded that also we make so many assumptions about like what is happening at all times, and I think most of the time we are wrong. Like these assumptions that we're making like half the time aren't even true. And I had a friend where like specifically there was this time where everyone went out to Sips in Center City. It's like in the summer, basically like all these bars in Center City have happy hour at the same time, so everyone goes out every Wednesday basically. This one day happened where all these friends just like came together like at the same time, and nobody like made the plan. It was more like my sister got off work and she went out to this bar, and then she texted me, I go with some of my friends, and then another friend comes, and then somebody else texts my sister and said, hey, are you going out today? Can I come? And then he came, and then we all just ended up going together. And then there was this other friend that was like, well, why didn't you guys invite me? Like I had to invite myself. And I was like, I totally see how that came off that way. But like it just was not, like they were like very offended about that. And I was like, this is like you're so wrong. I'm sorry. Like this just, we all invited ourselves. Like there wasn't like a text that was like, you are all invited to come to happy hour with me. It was just like everyone texted each other and was like, are you going? Okay, I'll go. Like we all invited ourselves. Like but it just came off so wrong. And also, like, if you see your friends got ice cream, sure, maybe they made plans without you, or maybe they just like bumped into each other on the street and they were like, hey, want to stop and get a cone? Like,
right, and that does happen too. Like with Rebecca, like in Fishtown, I've seen her out in Fishtown with like another friend of hers, and then like we are at Frankfurt Hall, and I'm like, oh, they have a table. Do you care if we come and sit with you guys too? Yeah. She's like, oh no, this is my friend that's visiting from California, and then like we got with them for the rest of the night, and then literally the next night, same thing happened again. We both ended up in Fishtown. I'm like, wait, I see that you're in Fishtown. We're going here. Do you want to meet us? And she's like, oh yeah, we will. We didn't actually plan on being together. The ice cream night, the ice cream was fucking freezer burn as fuck. It was horrible. Poor Red Bull. But guess what? Looked great on Rebecca's film camera. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, you know what I mean? I don't know. You just never know. But yeah, even like the Sips thing. Like I think I was there too. That time where we all just ended up at Uptown Beer Garden in the back. And like I think it was it that time? I don't even know.
I don't know.
There was another time that I know that we all just kind of like fizzled in, and we were like, oh, like,
they all blend together because every week it's just like you just happen to see someone, or like you happen to text one person, and then like my sister is very like central when it comes to plans, in my opinion. Like she kind of like says the idea, and she's really good about like picking a plan, and then everyone else will go to her for the confirmation of the plan or something.
She is good at that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I see it. And I'm lucky in that way because I just get to benefit from her being like, go to this place at this time. And I'm like, all right. Like, but yeah, everyone kind of just will like text her. Like if someone were to text her, they automatically have a group of 10 that they're going out with that night because so many people text her and she's so like good with like confirming plans like that. So it totally could come off wrong when you see like her out with a ton of people too. And then you're like, oh, well, she texted all these people and just didn't invite me. And it's like, no, they all texted her. And she's just good at being like, yeah, this place, this time, let's go.
And Erin's so good at making casual plans. Like she'll send a Snapchat and be like, oh, like I would love to go to like happy hour in Philly today. And then I'll be like, yeah, me too. Like I'm not doing anything after work. And she's like, all right, bet, should we do it? And then she'll text me separately and then we'll like just do it. You know what I mean? Like she's very casual about just being like, oh, like or like even the Phillies, they were doing like that
the block
opening
party
tailgate
things.
block party thing, and I was like, oh yeah, I would go 100%. And she's like, okay, and then the two of us went. Like, so she's good at casually just like throwing things out there, and then just seeing who like takes the bait, basically. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Which I love, because I'm not like that at all.
I know.
I'll see things and I'm like, I don't want to text people and ask if they want to go, and I just won't go to things.
Yeah.
Aaron will put it out there, you know, which is great.
Yeah. And I feel like we could all try to like be better about that, because I am so bad at that. Like, I mean, I'm not so bad. I feel like I'm on the fence. I'm not as good as her, but I try to. No, I feel like I don't. I feel like she does it all for me. Like, I feel like I'm just like, I'm, what is that phrase? Like riding her coattails, and it makes it seem like I'm good at making plans, but I'm like, no, I'm just like, I just got lucky that my sister is so good at it. And it's funny because they bring up the Phillies thing, because so Jimmy and Aaron went to this, like, it was like the opening day for the Phillies or something.
Oh yeah, and that was
I don't even know.
It was, yeah,
Block
like their opening
thing?
when they kicked off their new jerseys and stuff like that. Yeah,
their new heinous jerseys
Horrible.
that they wear on Fridays. Okay. Yes. I remember she told me that you went with her, the two of you went, and I was like, damn, like, I'm jealous. I was working that day, so like there's no way I could have gone, but I was like so jealous. I'm like, damn it, like I wish I could have gone. So,
right.
like, there's,
and did
like,
she tell you about it?
Not really.
We literally got out of the car with the dog, walked around for 4 minutes. It was so windy. There was not a single soul there.
Oh.
There were no free samples.
Oh.
It was literally like you could take a picture with like the old championship trophy, which like we've gotten pictures with multiple times. And that was it. Like there was nothing there. Literally nothing. There was probably 100 people and they were in line for the picture with the trophy. And like that was it.
Stop.
We got back in the car and we went to Yards Brewery and had a happy hour. That's what we did. And we weren't even going to go there. We were driving and missed the exit, got stuck on 95 for an extra half hour to get to the Fishtown exit. Had to get off, went down Spring Garden. Then we were just driving by Yards and we're like, oh, we might as well go for a drink.
Yeah.
So again, it was like, this is a fun thing. We posted that we were down there.
Yeah.
It was heinous. It was like the worst Philly event I've been to. So like, again,
yeah, like,
you know,
you make assumptions about like what other people are doing and like the fun that you missed out on, when it's like not everything is perfect. Like I remember New Year's Eve, I shared this on the podcast. It was your New Year's Eve plans, because I saw on one of our friends' stories that you were with, she posted this clip and it looked so cool. It was like confetti flying from like the high ceiling, and like I was like, oh my god, our New Year's Eve was such a flop and theirs looked like so much fun. And we were like going back and forth about like, do we go there, and the reason that I didn't go with you was because I just thought the price was too high, in my opinion, for what I wanted to do. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just spend like a little less money and do this other thing. And then I regretted it because I was like, ours was such a flop. I'm like, I wish I just spent like a tad bit more money and went with you guys and had like so much fun. And then you came over, you were like, our New Year's was such a flop. And
such a flop. Yeah.
I was like, I thought it was like the best night of your life, like based off this 4-second clip that I saw on our friend's Instagram story that looked like so much fun. And I was like, see, this is what, like, I was sitting around being like, such a flop, I should have done that. And I'm sure you probably had thoughts of like, such a flop, I should have done X, Y, and Z other thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, no, not that everyone's flopping, but like it's possible that everyone is flopping.
None of this is true. Yeah, literally, that's the name of that book that I was telling you about too. None of this is true. Like that is what it's like a lot of times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, there are great things, obviously. Like not everything's horrible. You know what I mean? Like, but there's just always so much more to the story than what you could see on social media.
That is such.
It's just so important to remember.
And even not on social media, like there's always so much more to the story, and the assumptions that you're making to fill in the blanks are probably not correct.
No.
And so let's not base our feelings off of the things that we're assuming to fill in the gaps it's just a guess, and none of us are good guessers. So like, see, the thing is, like, I feel like sometimes I take a guess and I'm right, like 1 out of 100 times. Then I'm like, well, last time this is what happened, so like this is happening now. And it's like, no, you get lucky when you just know what happened. No, you don't. Like, right. If you're just guessing, like, you probably don't know what, and like, if you get lucky and you're right one time, like, sure.
And trust your intuition, but don't think too deeply.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You could very well be right, but like at the end of the day, is the world burning?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, but like not really. You know what I mean? Like the world's not going to end because of this one thing.
Because
and, like,
of the Instagram story that I saw and missed out on.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I really
Your friends don't hate you. And
exactly. Exactly. And like, of course, like if you are like making assumptions about like things that actually matter, like this person did X, Y, and Z and they're not a good person. Yeah, of course. Like do that. But like, I shouldn't be sitting around spiraling because someone else had more fun than I did on New Year's Eve when in reality they didn't, because I received like the inside scoop and it wasn't what I guessed, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, wow, that was a really
how long have we even talking about?
I have no idea, but I read one sentence and it was... It was, how do I politely tell someone they aren't invited to something? And we just spoke for an hour, I'm pretty sure.
No, literally, like that was so long.
I mean, we started recording an hour ago. So
Did we really?
I think so. It's almost 6 o'clock. I think we started at like 5.
Yeah, my watch has time to stand. It does that every hour. That's hilarious. Okay.
But I think that was like, we couldn't even write what we just talked about.
No, that was relatable shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
And if you're like, no, it's not, I don't care, you're lying.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Okay, now should we actually talk about this?
True.
Wait, it's so funny because some of the people on it are like, yeah, like
I remember like
get the hell away from me.
Kamala Harris was on and like she was like even with her like and it's like this is the vice president.
She's the vice president of the United States. Like yeah, don't touch her.
I don't know why, it just feels like we're so close right now.
We're so close together. Okay. Yeah, I could move.
No.
Stay. I know the title makes me sound like a bad person. Oh, that's what set me off. I'm like, no, it's not. You know what? You're allowed to not invite everyone. I have a friend in my circle who has always been a little weird around me. He always tells me how pretty I am and how he would date me if he wasn't in a relationship. That's problematic. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he and his partner have split up, and he had been relentlessly creeping in on some of the girls in our group, including me. I hate that.
Yeah, me too. It's gross.
This all came to a head when he asked me out. I obviously said no, but now I am making plans for my birthday and I really don't want him there. I also don't want him to be the only person in our group who is left out. He is a nice and non-threatening person, and I don't want him to be offended if he sees one of us post something. What do I do? This is so hard because it seems like it's someone that's maybe in your friend group, but it's not like your best friend. Like I almost feel like friend groups are kind of like a line for each person, and it's like you are closer like on the spectrum to some of them than you are to others. But yeah, it could be like a really dickhead move to like not invite your whole friend group. Although, I don't know. It's not like he did nothing wrong. Like he kind of did do something wrong if he's like being creepy around you. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
What does creepy mean?
Yeah, I feel like someone needs to say something to him if they haven't already, and just be like, hey, just so you know, like we all consider you like a friend, and when you say these things it makes us a little uncomfortable, and no one's interested in that with you, so like we'd really appreciate it if you would stop doing that, because it's making people not want to be around you. You know, I don't know if you have to add in that last part right off the get, but like definitely I think it's fair to just be like, hey, like we all see you as a friend and appreciate you as a friend, but when you say things like this it makes us feel uncomfortable, so like can you please stop?
Yeah.
Because then maybe if he were to come around, he would stop doing that if that's what's making you not want him around. If everything else is good and you're like, he's really chill, but like we hate that he keeps saying like, oh, I would totally date you. Like if you just bring it up to him and he stops doing that, then like maybe it would be okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. No, that's a really good point. I agree with that. And I think that like, let's say your birthday is like this Saturday and you're like, shit, do I invite him or not? If he just asked you out like a couple days ago and now there's only a few days between now and your birthday, like the timeline is quite short. Like we don't have time to like give him our boundaries and see if he implements them. I think that it would be fine to not invite him. This might like come off weird, but even if he's in your friend group, even if he's in your circle, you feel a little bit uncomfortable right now, like today. So you don't have to invite him if you don't want to your own birthday. And if he were to ask you why, you could say something along the lines of what Jimmy just said and say, hey, yeah, I'm sorry if it came off like rude or offensive. You had just asked me out. I said no, so I was feeling a bit awkward. And I also wanted to talk to you about something, but I didn't have time before the party. So here's like my thoughts. And then you say what Jimmy just said or something like that. Because one, like he might not even confront you. Like if it's just like some guy, like is he really going to sit down and be like, why wasn't I invited to your birthday party? But if he does, I would say something like that. Like explain to him like, I didn't have time to say this before, but this is really how I feel, and say exactly what Jimmy just said.
Yeah, just be honest.
Yeah. And then go from there and be like, if you're able, or if you can understand where I'm coming from, you know, I'd love to be friends and have you at the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think too, especially with situations like this where it's like not creepy necessarily, but like anything where you're being pursued and it's like icky, you know, like it's okay to say those things, because those things can make you feel uncomfortable, and like no one should have to feel that way. Like I don't think that you should ever have to feel that way. Like if you're not feeling it, then you should be able to say that. And at some point it's like almost like a consensual thing where it's like, stop saying those things to me.
Yeah.
The joke just gets too far. Like you could jokingly be like, oh my God, I would totally date you if like I weren't with this person, or like, oh my God, like we would totally be good together, like we should date. But like at a certain point it's like creepy and like weird. You know what I mean? And like that's okay to just be like saying something before it gets to the point where you're starting to resent the person and be like, what the fuck? Just like tell them about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like when you say those things to me because I'm not interested in you and I won't be, but I like you as a friend. And like if you could still hang out with us as a friend, that's great. But if not, then we're gonna purposely not invite you to things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that like you shouldn't have to explain yourself. Once you make that clear, it's like, I told you and you didn't, you know, respect my boundaries. That's just like putting another boundary for yourself.
Yeah.
But
and I just don't think that you need to invite them if you don't want to. Like if the party is like so soon, I just don't tell them. And like, because the question was, how do I politely tell them they aren't invited? I don't think you need to. People don't need to approach me and tell me, hey, just so you know, you're not invited to this. I'm like, well, I would have known that if, you know, I didn't receive an invitation. So I don't think you tell them anything.
Yeah.
But I think if this person comes to you and asks, you can explain your reasoning. And regardless of if they ask or not, you can confront them and say what Jimmy said about the weird comments.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be like confrontational, you know, like just be honest.
Yeah.
If he reacts in a way that he feels that he's being like attacked or whatever, then maybe there's a little more to it, you know?
Yeah, true.
And that could be telling in and of itself.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And if you say this to the person and they don't respect your boundaries and they keep saying the weird things to you, then I would just, if this were my life, I would stop considering them a friend.
Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, they hang out with some of my friends sometimes, but I don't invite them to my stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Like really stop inviting them then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double down. Cool. Slay.
See, aren't you glad you heard our tangent before that? Because that was a quick one.
Yeah. Yeah. See, we can get to the point. How to politely tell a friend you have low energy to hear them ramble for hours.
Oh.
Me.
The two of us, when she got here, we're both like, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah. All my friend does is yap, 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 yap.
Yeah.
I'm like, who wrote this about me? I happen to be getting into situations lately where I join a voice call and have a friend continue to ramble nonstop about either their day or what they are currently doing. It's either only two of us or max three. Even if there's three of us and the two of us listening to them ramble are quiet, only grunting here or there for acknowledgement, they still continue on. I do invite friends to voice chat because I know some of them are comfortable in silence. We stay on the call, ask stuff, or share things every now and then while still doing our own thing. I do try to keep up with my friend who rambles a lot, but I'm finding lately I prefer comfortable, semi-silent company. Okay, I feel like this is written a little bit weird, but basically they're saying like they check in with their friends, like they catch up over video call and one girly just won't shut the frick up.
Yeah.
Okay. They ended by saying, I get it though. My friend doesn't have anyone else to talk to. Their family situation isn't great. They did this ever since I met them, but lately I have low energy. I end up sitting there getting really overwhelmed with the constant nonstop talking. My want to also respond back just spoils inside of me because there's no breathing space for a dialogue. It feels like their monologue most of the time. Best I do is lower their volume and try to do something else. I'm not sure how to tell my friend they're starting to overwhelm me without hurting their feelings. Any tips on how to tell them kindly?
That is hard because I do feel like I could like relate to that sometimes. You know what I mean? Where like you have a really, like, for example, you have a long day at work and then you talk to a friend and then they're like just going on and it's like, yo, like I had a day myself, like, please, like I don't have the mental capacity to just like listen to this right now. But I feel like I've never had the right thing to say either. You know what I mean? Like in a perfect world, I think that you would just say like, I'm really sorry, like that you know what I mean? Whatever it is that you're dealing with. But like, I don't have the energy to be able to like be a really good friend and listening ear for you right now. But like, I've never had the courage to say that myself.
I know.
So I'm not going to sit here and act like I have, you know?
I also don't think I've experienced like this exact thing, partially because I think that I talk a lot and I'm probably the one on the other side of this.
I don't think you are.
I do talk a lot though, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to talk a lot. I have heard other people experience this, and I think we read a story recently where someone was writing about they were like this friend, but they already told the girl, like they already told her, you talk so much only about yourself, like you aren't a friend to us, but we're a friend to you. And they tried to tell her about her like bad habits and she couldn't initiate the changes. Or what is the word that they use in Dance Moms, like when like Abby gives them changes and she's like, is it initiate? Implement. Implement the changes into the routine. The girl didn't implement the changes that her friends told her to. And the friends were like, we tried to help you be a better person, a better friend, and you just aren't capable of doing that. So we need to kick you out of the friend group. And their question was more like, how do we stop being friends with her? But the way that they handled that situation, I was like, no, you've done everything right up until this point. And I think that in this situation, it seems like it's happening a lot. You know, every time you talk, you're only listening, she's talking to you. I kind of think you could say something along the lines of what Jimmy was like, what you would want to say in those situations, like log on and be like, hey guys, maybe let's only talk about good things today. I've had a really stressful day and I can't handle any trauma dumping, or like I can't handle any hard conversations right now. And you can say that in a lighthearted way. Like it doesn't have to be like no negativity, but just being like, guys, can we keep it light today? Like I need this for myself. Like tell me something happy that happened to you today. And then if she starts to be like, well, I had a terrible day, can I talk about it? Or like, I just need to tell you, you could be like, wait, I'm so sorry. Like, I am kind of being serious about it. Like, I don't want to cut you off and not be a good friend to you, but like, I'm being honest. I cannot handle hearing about something negative today. So I might have to log off or something like that. And if she just keeps talking about it, I think literally cutting her off and being like, girl, I love you so much, but like, I'm really, really sorry. I have to log off and I wish you the best, but like mentally I can't handle it today. And like, I wish the best for you. Love you. Hang up. Like, how could she possibly go on after that? You know what I mean? Do you think that's like valid?
I do think it's valid. I think it's fair to like say something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's true.
It's true. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's like totally valid.
Yeah.
I think it takes courage to say that though, especially when it's courage. Like someone that you consider a good friend and like you don't want to hurt their feelings and you want to be a good friend to them. And like, obviously they need an outlet because they're talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I think that's why therapy is great, because I think like for some things, it's just like with therapy, like you are able to just like dump. And you don't have to expect that they're going to be like, oh, and how about you? You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you do in therapy. So that's why and I think a lot of people depend on their friends to like help with things like that with their mental health and stuff like that, with the trauma dumping of it all, because they just need an outlet. You know what I mean? And that's why therapy is so good. But you also can't be like, girl, get a therapist. Like, I don't want to listen to you anymore. Yeah. But I think that it's really fair what you had said. I think that you summed it up perfectly. I just think
it takes
just
so much
hard
to
say something like that to someone that you care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's someone that you don't really have a buy-in with and you don't really give a shit about, like, you could just kind of weasel your way out and be like, done, you know, like, I'm not doing it, because like you don't really care that much about them anyways, you know, which sounds like a little shallow, I guess, but like, no, like, I'm not going to walk up to a stranger at the park and be like, oh my God, let me tell you about my day at work. Like, it was horrible, you know? But with a friend, I might do that because it's like a safe space and I feel like, you know, they could at least hear me. Yeah. But you don't always have the, you know, mental bandwidth to be able to listen to that all the time. Yeah. I know I don't.
No, that would be so annoying to just listen to someone talk like constantly all the time, even though I'm like, am I doing that to other people? No. I actually had something similar, like a friend similar to this in high school. So we were children. Like, obviously I did not have the like maturity and like honesty that I feel like I've gained now. But it was like 3 of us so these 2 girls had been friends since like childhood, like best friends. In high school, I started going to their school. We became like this mini trio. And friend 1, I was closer with her for a while. And friend 2, I'm like, wait, but I like her better. Like, so I just realized that friend 1, I'm like, wait, she only talks about herself. Like, she never asks about me. Like, I am her best friend, but she is not my best friend. And then it got to the point where I kind of said that to friend 2, this girl's lifelong childhood friend. And she was like, honestly, I feel the same way. And it's always been that way. Like, she's always felt that way about her. And we both kind of like distanced ourselves a little bit from her, and we became closer. And then we were actually like very, very close by the end of high school. And I kind of think that sometimes like that's just how people are. And that's like who they are, is only caring about themselves and like only talking about themselves. And maybe you could tell someone that and be like, hey, like I want to talk to you about something and I don't want it to come off wrong, but it is something that I've noticed. I feel like our friendship is a little bit one-sided at times, and I do a lot of listening, and I feel like you don't really ask about me. Maybe you could have a conversation that starts that way. But at the same time, like if they haven't realized it yet, do they really even care about you? Like if she never asks about you and just talks at you every time you check in, like, is this a person that genuinely cares about you? Like, is this a friend you really need to have in your life? Like, I feel like this would be grounds like for me, and maybe this is the wrong decision. Like maybe this is me being more like superficial and being like, cut. But I think I would cut someone out of my life before I spoke to them about it, because I think that my view on a relationship like that is like, well, we were never that deep because you barely know me. I know your life story, but like our friendship is just not that deep. And like, I don't even care about you that much because you never ask about me. Mm-hmm. So that would probably lead me to just cut them off before I spoke to them about it. Because I guess like what I'm trying to say is if I cared about them enough to talk to them about it, I probably wouldn't have gotten to the point where I feel this way about them. Does that make sense? I don't even know if I just said something that makes sense at all.
I think it does make sense, especially when it's all the time.
Yes.
When it's all the time, then 100%, because that is a totally one-sided thing.
Yeah.
But I also think that there are times where, you know, you do have friends where it isn't always one-sided and they do ask about your day and stuff like that too, but you're like really, and I mean, OP's situation, it sounds like that to me, what you have just described. But I'm thinking of more like broader, like there are times where you've just had like, where you don't want to talk to anyone. Like I have days sometimes where I'm like, and it's not that I'm like sad or depressed or anything. It's just that like I talk all day for a living. That's my job. So I want to just be done with work and then just sit in silence. And I don't want to talk to anyone, and I don't want them to talk to me. And I want to scroll on TikTok or on Twitter, and I just want to be in my own little world. And like, that's it. You know what I mean? And it's hard because sometimes I do feel like you have to make that clear. And like, I do that sometimes. But in terms of the friendship always being one-sided, yes, 100%. And I've had to walk away from friendships like that where I'm like, I feel like I'm, you know, just here for whatever you need. I'm like your little rag doll, you know, but then it's not that like I need the world from you, but like you could show up for me in the ways that I show up for you all the time. Yeah. And you have to walk away from friendships like that because at that point, it's not a friendship. You're just kind of like being used. Exactly.
Like that's like the thing where it gets to the point where it's like, I am your friend, but you are not my friend. Like you're just a person that I am a friend to. Like, I just see what you're saying though about how people do probably go through phases. Like there's been a couple times where I went through breakups and my best friend is like there for me, and I'm like, dude, I look back on it and I'm like, we just hung out like how many times in a row, and all I did was talk about myself. Like I didn't even ask about her. Like that was so fucked up, honestly. But like, and I feel weird about that, and I'm like, damn, I'm so glad she didn't just like get fed up with me and like drop me because like I'm just talking about myself and like this guy who's irrelevant for so long. Yeah, but that's what friendships are for. That's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not just the good things. Like, and I try to make that clear. I have a friend who's going through something right now, and like they feel like they're burdening. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, it's fine. They feel like they're burdening, you know, talking about these things and what they're going through and how they're feeling and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, like this is more than like a surface level friendship. Like we love hanging out with each other all the time, but like we're also like really good friends, and like allow your friends to support you. You know what I mean? Like when my mom passed away and like everything like that, like I depended on my friends so heavily. Like I know that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. You know what I mean? And like I depend on my family so heavily for certain things too. But I also am like try to be the first friend to show up when someone else is going through something. And I try to show
show up for my family in any way that I can. You know what I mean? So it's okay to allow, you know, yourself to be down sometimes and lean on other people and expect that people are going to do those things for you because you're doing that for them. You know what I mean? It's not one-sided just because you're having a really rough week or like a little rough patch in your life. That's when you know who your really good friends are. And that also shows what of a friend you are to them because they're willing to show up for you.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So I think like that's all good to keep in mind because it's like you shouldn't feel like you're burdening friends by asking them to be there to support you, because if not, then that's not a friend.
Yeah.
Like that's why we're friends, you know, that's why we have these relationships and why you build those foundations. It's not all the good things, you know, all the time.
I also think even just having the self-awareness to be like, oh, I'm burdening you. Like if you have that thought, you're probably not like that bad of a friend because you're thinking about them and like how they're doing, even if it takes a little bit to like realize that. Like I'm thinking about when like a breakup I went through and my one friend's there for me like every single day. After like, I don't know, days, weeks, maybe a month, I was like, holy fuck, like I'm burdening her. But I got there, like I got to that conclusion. And I feel like just having that thought of like, okay, I need to give her a break. That does show that you are a good, like you're trying to be a good friend to them because you're like, I can't just keep doing this to her. You're not just using that person and not giving them anything in return, I guess. So I wonder like in this situation that this girl's talking about, like it seems like her friend just doesn't even have a clue. Because if she's never said to you, I'm so sorry, like I really just, I need to vent. Like I know this is probably so annoying, but like I need to get this off my chest. Like if she's never even said that, like is this girl even a friend to you? Like, or is it just someone that has been in your life for so long and you've just like been in close proximity to them, so in your brain you're like friend, and then you're just like friend in your life year after year, they're my friend. Have you ever like taken a step back and been like, wait, is this literally even my friend? Like is this even a friend to me? Because I don't think it is. Like you're not obligated to be friends with this person, in my opinion. And I guess like depending on what type of relationship you've had, like if you can look at it from like a larger perspective and be like, okay, she is a friend to me because of XYZ, then maybe it is worth it to sit down and be like, hey, more recently, I've really just been feeling like I listen to you a lot. I wish you would ask about me more. I wish I could vent to you in the way that you vent to me. And then if she's like, holy shit, I didn't even realize I was doing that, and she changes her ways, it could get better. And maybe that's like the answer. But if you look at it from a bigger perspective and you're like, I don't even really want her in my life. I have enough fulfillment in other places, and this person is just, it seems like they're using me. Maybe that is time to like part ways, you know?
Yeah, and you think about it, and I feel like you know if you feel like the friendship is worth bringing those things up. Because like there are friends where that's happened, where it's kind of like you grow apart because of certain things, and like that's okay. And like, you know, no resentment, no hate, just love, but like you just grow apart. Yeah. Whereas there are other friends where you go to them and you're like, hey, like this is what I need from you as a friend. Because like I'm feeling like almost like begging you to be my friend at this point. And like this, and like, I don't know, maybe like things are changing, and like maybe we do, you know, we are just going to grow apart. And like that's okay too, but like I would really love to still be friends, but I need you to show up for me more. And I want you to tell me if there's something that I can do differently as well, because I miss X, Y, and Z about our friendship and like what it was, because I just feel like something's changed. And I've had those conversations too, and then things do turn around sometimes. You know what I mean? So again, it's just the communication part.
That is really hard though.
But it does, it takes you to be vulnerable, you know what I mean? Dr. Brene Brown, I talk about her every time I'm on here. Like she always talks about, you know, being vulnerable and being clear and things like that. Like if you don't say it to the person, they might have no idea that they're making you feel this way. So it takes vulnerability to bring those things up to them, but it also takes a lot of courage in yourself to say that. And then it also requires that same vulnerability and courage and reflection on their part. You know what I mean? So it's hard on both ends, but it's important, and it's just part of life and what builds strong relationships with people. You know?
No, that's so true. It is so hard. It's so hard because sometimes you don't even know what's right. Like, what is the right thing to do in the situation? Like, do I tell them the truth? Do I tell them like part of the truth and then leave out like more negative things, or do I just like drift away like and see if they even notice? Like it's so hard to know sometimes like what is right in situations, but I mean communication is so important, but it takes so much like strength, I guess, and like courage, literally.
Wow.
Okay, should we do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more. Why not?
We are on a roll. I feel like us together, we're just like an unstoppable force.
I know. And you know what it is too? It's because like I wish we saw each other more.
I know.
But we don't see each other that much.
I know.
Outside of the pod lately.
I know.
Just because like, I don't know. And we have opposite busy schedules. You
yes.
are the busiest person in the world during the summer. I'm off during the summer. During the school year, I'm like, like, you know, I get so like,
yes.
you know, manic because work just takes everything out of me. And then we get together on things like this and we go like, oh, and like we have such good conversation.
I know.
But I love it. But also we're going to see each other more.
Yes. And this summer you have a little bit of a lighter schedule. You still are busy this summer though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working, but it's only a couple days a week.
Yeah.
So
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
We can just have a day where we have like a 19-hour episode, but we can just break it up into like a few.
Yeah, we should.
episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's kind of relevant actually. How to tell somebody we aren't friends.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Let's do it.
Okay. This has actually happened to me. Like I've had multiple people, two specifically people, come up to me and say, we weren't friends. And I remember sharing this on one of the first episodes of the podcast, like ever. I think it was with me and Aaron. And I was dying laughing because actually, it has happened to me twice where I was checking in with someone. Like I saw someone from my past 2 times. One was a guy from high school who was in my homeroom, and I felt that we always had like a friendly connection. Like we never hung out outside of school, but there were like mutual friends that we had that I would see outside of school. Like I think he was friends with one of my cousins, and this guy who I was friends with since freshman year, school friends. Like we were pretty tight in school. We went to freshman formal together. We worked together junior and senior year at the pool, teaching swim lessons together. Like I considered he and I friends, and then he was friends with this other guy in my homeroom, whatever. Homeroom guy, I see him at a bar like 3 years into college, and I'm like, oh, hey, he's hanging out with other people that I was friends with. He's hanging out with my cousin, talking to my cousin, talking to him, like, hey, what's up? How have you been? Like, what have you been up to? Whatever. I haven't seen him since high school graduation. He's answering all my questions. We're like chatting, catching up. Later at the bar, he comes over to me and he goes, yeah, I was so confused about why you were checking in, because like we were not friends in high school. And I was like,
sheesh.
what? I was like, wait, first of all, okay, like if there was a lot of people in high school that I wasn't friends with, but if I ran into them as an adult and they were being nice to me and checking in with me, I would be like, yeah, like I'm doing great. Hope you're doing great as well. I wouldn't then go over to them half an hour later and be like, by the way, why the hell did you say hi to me? Because we were not friends.
That's so rude.
Just so weird. Like I was like,
yeah.
What? Like, and especially because no, we were not friends. Like I didn't have this guy's number and we hung out on the weekends and blah, blah, blah. But we were in the same homeroom for 4 years and we had multiple classes together, like here and there throughout high school. And I was just like, what?
And that's like, just like not kind.
Like, yeah, like what a weird thing to say out loud. Like,
right. No, that is. And that's what you should have said back to him. You know, Callie's been saying that lately. Like Callie has been so good at like, if people say something like that, they're like, what was your intention of saying something like that? Like putting them on the spot like that. Cause it's like, what the fuck?
Literally.
You know what I mean? Like I see people from the Scranton area around Philly all the time. That like I was not best friends with, but like we see each other and we have something in common. And we ask one another about something like this. That doesn't mean that we were ever friends.
Right.
I'm never claiming to ever have been friends.
Exactly.
But it's also just like being polite and being like, oh yeah, it's like, how are you? Like wishing you well. Like I hope everything's going well with you. You know what I mean? Like I think that's just like nice. And if not, like it's just being like a douche.
Yeah.
Like that's literally so rude.
So weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this person, like he's not a mean person. He's not a rude, but so super nice person. That's why I was always friendly with him throughout high school. And that's why I thought it was even weirder. Cause I was like, it's not like I said to you, oh my God, my best friend from high school. Like I haven't seen you in forever. Like, how are you? I've missed you. Like, no, I'm just checking in to be like, oh my God, it's like one of those people where you see them and they bring up all these like happy memories or like positive, funny, goofy, like nostalgic memories. Not that like this person and I, like, I don't know. I would feel more like that with people from my grade school, my like small Catholic grade school, where I'm like, yeah, we weren't besties, but like, it's happy to see them because I'm like, oh my God, wow, like so much nostalgia. This guy, I was more just like, yeah, like being nice. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have had a full probably conversation with him like that if he wasn't hanging out with my cousin and my other friend.
Right.
Like, So I'm like,
I really wish you said, what a weird thing to say out loud.
I wish it was in that era, because that phrase was like invented after this happened.
I love it though. I gotta start using it.
I love that phrase. It's so, I know, I hope something happens to me soon where I can
Me too.
it.
Oh my God, me too. I'm gonna keep it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
The other time that happened to me was I worked in a clothing store down the shore in the summer, and everyone who worked there was like friendly. Some people did become like close friends and would hang out outside of work, but work friends, like not even like career friends, but like when you're working a job that's like an hourly type job. Yeah. Like in a food store, in a clothing store, like that kind of thing. So I would talk to this guy like all the time. His sister also worked at the store. I wasn't friends with them outside of the store, but we were like work friends, whatever. I talked to them. I saw him the next, like first day of the next summer. I'm like, oh, hey, how have you been? Like, I'm asking him questions like, how was your college? How is your sister? How is your house in this neighborhood? That, like, I knew all these things about him. He's like, oh yeah, it's good. I'm like, how's your major? This, like, all these things. And then basically said the exact same phrase as the other guy. Like, oh, I was so confused as to why you were checking in with me. Like, we were not friends last summer. And I was like, what? Like, what a weird thing to say.
No, it's just so weird.
Like, I'm like, if someone was checking in with me since last summer, like, I would just not ever think to say that. Like, first of all, I never said we were, but clearly we were, because I know all this information about you. But like, okay.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just so strange. People are just built different, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, like, we are people.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
We like people.
Like, you could, I feel like we're very much the same, where you could throw us into a room with anyone.
Yes.
And we could find some type of topic. Like, I could talk to the wall.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's one of like my best things, is just like, but if you also realize like the way that we interact is by asking people questions about themselves.
Yeah.
We know that people like to talk about themselves. Like, I know that when I'm going into a space, like even for Pride last weekend, I went out with friends and we went to my one friend's friend's apartment, basically. Yeah. So like we were like 3 times removed.
Yeah.
So even on the way there, I was like thinking like, okay, like, I'm going to be meeting new people. This is great today, whatever. And when we got there, like I was with my friends for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to like, go like mingle or whatever. And I just started asking people like, oh, so like, how long have you been in Philly? Like, oh, is this your apartment? Like, how did you snag this? Like, you know what I mean? Just asking people about that. And that's like how we operate. I guess other people don't operate like that, but you don't have to say that.
Yeah.
You could just like answer the questions and like not even ask me them back. But like, It was great seeing you, and walk away. You don't have to be like, we were never friends.
Also,
why?
Having a conversation like that with someone doesn't mean that you're friends.
No.
Me checking in and being like, oh my God, how have you been? Doesn't mean that I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this because we used to be very good friends.
Hey,
like,
bestie.
No, yeah, like I'm just checking it. Like, I don't know. Like,
weird.
Whatever. Okay. There is this girl in my school who thinks we are friends. We've never been friends and never will. She's mean to everybody and makes stuff up to report people with? I don't know what that means. If she doesn't like them. She did it to a few of my friends. Okay, this sounds kind of juvenile, but I think we can make it like matter.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't matter to them. I have a class with her and you need a partner to pair up with almost every single day in that class. The reason she thinks we're friends is because everyone else in that class has someone they partner with except me and her. At first, I could tolerate her thinking we're friends, but now it's gotten way too much. She says she has boy humor, which means she will moan and call me mommy, which I already expressed my discomfort with, but she continues regardless. I'm picturing my lab partner from my freshman year of college, like science class. I'm just like trying to put myself in this situation. I'm like, okay, if they were doing this, but his name was Marcel and he was from France and he was very nice.
You said that. Now I'm picturing you like dissecting a frog and being like, mommy.
Oh my God. Scary. Yeah. I'm picturing Marcel calling me mommy. Like, Marcel, please.
Go eat a French fry.
Wait until after class. She will come up to me during breaks and talk about how much she hates my friends and tells me that I should stop being friends with them and will yell at them if they say anything. The only reason I would continue being friends with her is because I have nobody else to pair up with in that class, and I know she will make up some rumor about me if I tell her we aren't friends. And yes, I've already tried to distance myself from her. She doesn't get the message and keeps coming up to me during breaks and doing stuff that makes me uncomfortable. Any tips? I feel like this also could be similar to like a coworker, which is almost everyone could relate
Yeah.
to a coworker situation.
100%. I feel like we should maybe talk about it as if it's a coworker.
As if it's a coworker, not like
because like it did
a
sound
high
very
schooler.
juvenile.
Yeah.
Juvenile. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, I don't know. I don't even know.
No,
This is
because I
hard.
definitely can relate to this
Okay.
coworker wise, where it's like awkward because I mean, I especially struggle at work sometimes because I like take my job seriously and like need to get work done while I'm at work. You know what I mean? And then I have coworkers who will just go on and on about like the personal part of it and like the friendship part of it. And I'm like, but at the end of the day, like I'm here to, you know, help kids and get a check and go home. Like that's why I'm here. You know, like I'm not here for friendships, relationships. Sure. Do I have friends from work? 100%. You know what I mean? But like, I don't have anyone that I consider like a best friend from work.
Yeah.
Like I've never tried to have that. And I know people do and it really works for them, but it doesn't always work that way. And it could get awkward when it's not, you know what I mean? So I try to be like very honest about being like, I have a lot that I have to do right now, you know what I mean? And like distance myself that way from it and just like kind of like stopping them in their tracks and being like, oh my gosh, like I would really love to talk about that right now, but like I have a meeting and like I have to get this done before the end of today and I don't have time to do it tonight. Like I'm not going to be working after hours. So like, can we stop? That's kind of what this like reminds me of a little bit. But it's awkward with like those professional relationships because it could get dicey at work. Like you don't want to, you know, ruffle anyone's feathers either.
And then you're stuck with them till the end of the school year. Very relevant for you. Yeah. I actually kind of feel like using have you heard this like phrase? People call it the you good phrase.
No.
Like people will say like you good and then it kind of like puts people in their place, I guess. I don't know. It's like when someone is acting it's kind of a version of saying like what a weird thing to say out loud. It's almost like, are you okay? Like what a weird way to act. Like what a weird thing to do. Like, are you okay? But people like shortened it and it's just like you good. At least that's how I've seen it being used on TikTok. But I almost feel like calling someone out like that is the only way to handle them. So like when they're talking shit on your friends to you, or like if it's a coworker talking shit on other coworkers for not about things that actually matter, like just saying gossip about them or just mean things about them, calling them out and being like, why would you say that? Are you okay? And just nothing else, like leaving it at that, like seeing what they say. They're like, well, yeah, she's just so ugly. What a weird thing to say out loud.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've also had to have a conversation where I'm like, I like want to be the space for you where like you could say this and like I'm not one to go and repeat. Like I don't really gossip, especially at work, because I don't think that that's like professional at all. But there are times where I have to be like, I'm really sorry that that's your experience with that person, but it's not my experience with that person. And they've been like a really good friend to me and have supported me at work and like done this and that for me. And I appreciate them for that. So like, I'm sorry that you don't feel the same way about that, but like I'm having a hard time seeing that right now for me. You know what I mean? The way that you're seeing them. And I feel like that a lot of times just like stops it in general anyways, because they're like, well, why am I even saying this then? You know what I mean? Like,
like you don't get validation.
Yeah, because like there are like, I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh shit, yeah, like she's like such an ass, like, you know what I mean? Like she is not nice, or like he is such a dick. Like when maybe that's not my experience with that person, I'm not just gonna gossip to gossip. So like saying that, I feel like sometimes helps. So you could say that like, while like, you know, you feel like my friends aren't the nicest and like they haven't treated you that well, like they're really good friends to me and I haven't seen them treat you that way. So like you talking about them doesn't make me feel any better about you, and like it kind of makes me not want to be your friend. So like I'd really rather you stop talking about them like that. To me, you know. And
especially if it's not things that are like, oh, this person treated me wrong, and more if it's like, oh, I just don't like them, they're annoying, they're weird, like things that are just like judgy, like subjective, like things that are just mean, like saying something like that, or just straight up being like, that's very mean and unnecessary. Like if this coworker of yours is just like, oh, her outfit's so ugly, just like calling them out and being like, that is so mean. And sit in silence, like make them uncomfortable.
What I feel a like surface so level powerful thing to say. I agree.
Because the less that they feel validated by you, like I feel like this person is coming to you as like a safe place. Like you're their only option, but they are not your only option. So almost just like shutting them down and calling them out, I think would put them in their place. And then they would have to change their actions because you are their only option. And if they're not getting validation or like friendship or even cordialness from you, like they're not getting it from anyone. So they have to change.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
No,
that
I
doesn't make
completely
sense.
agree. No, I think it does make sense. And like, I mean, high school and like school in general is, you know, like preparation for the real world, which is eventually the workplace, you know, the relationships, obviously, like in the seriousness of what it is that you're talking about at the time might change. But at the end of the day, it's all about like human interaction. And like some people are your people and some people are not.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay too. But you're going to be put in these situations like where you can relate to it in high school or you can relate to it in the workplace and things like that. I think the main thing is like, you got to just stick to yourself and know who you are and who you want to surround yourself with and just focus on that. And like there are going to always be other people that come in and out of your life, whether it be at work or in high school, but you just got to stick to what you know and, you know, just do that. I don't know.
And also realizing that these relationships in school, like you're always going to have moments that you can't control, especially in school or work. Like there is sometimes that you're going to be assigned a lab partner that you don't like, but science class isn't your life.
Yeah.
You know, it's a few hours every week that you have to play by the rules that someone else gave you because you want to get like the outcome. Like you want to graduate from college, so you have to play by the rules of science class. That's not your life, you know?
No.
So just deal with it in the moment and never talk to the girl again outside of work or school.
And at the end of the day, you'll learn how to handle a situation like that in a relationship and it'll eventually benefit you because it's going to come back around.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
But just get through it for right now.
And if it's a workplace, like if it's your career and it's everyone in the office and you can't not think about it outside of work, and outside of work, you're unhappy because all you think about is work and you're just so annoyed, quit and get a different job.
Yeah.
Because that happened to me too. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, bye, quit.
Same. Yeah. I was like, you know, at a place where I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like there's no way that I could do this.
Yeah.
And then I switched and like, I've never been more fulfilled in my career.
Yeah.
So like sometimes you just have to change scenery or change whatever it is that you're doing and rediscover the part of yourself or the part of work that you really enjoy. But it does take courage to change, you know, change isn't good for like, not everyone loves change. I don't like change. I love like routine and everything like that. But looking back, like for me, I'm like, wow, that was the best thing I ever could have done. So it takes courage to do it, but like, just do it.
Yeah. Facts. Love it. Wow. Wait, how long was this episode? I don't
know.
even know. I think it was like 2 hours.
No, was it really?
I think it was because I think we started at like 4:55. It's now 6:43.
Wow. Yeah.
Slay. Long ass episode. We only have one camera for this episode. So if you like quick camera cuts, just please don't judge us. Please stay with us and keep watching. Or wait, keep watching. It's over now.
Watch next week too.
I should have said that in the beginning, but not. Of course, it turned out to be like the longest, best episode ever that only has one camera.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of topics.
We
from
really did.
Roombas to Oryx to the Titanic and
communication.
those motherfuckers at work.
So true.
Just kidding.
A full circle episode.
Yeah.
Just leave them on the Titanic. Tell her to go. No, I'm not even going to make a Titanic joke. I'm not. I can't disrespect Titanic like that.
That would be so icy of you. I tried.
Bye.
I tried.
Thank you guys so much for watching our episode and listening to it. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.